What's up, HyperFast Nation? On this episode of the show, I brought back a repeat guest. This was actually his third time on the show. He is the founder of Witly, which is a lead generation, follow-up, and remarketing company that helps real estate business generate leads and follow up and build relationships with them at scale. This is an important thing that a lot of agents struggle with. Especially ones building teams. They struggle to get their agents to do that. So we talked specifically about systems you can implement to help do that. Welcome back to the show, Grant Wise. All right, welcome back to the show, Grant. This is your third time on, I believe. Actually, you were on episode 24, like way back in the beginning, and then episode 100. So now this will be 300 and something this episode. So it's been a while, and you've spoken at several of our events as well.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me back. I appreciate it.
Well, give the listeners and viewers who haven't watched episode 24 or 100 just a quick introduction and a little bit about what you're up to these days.
Yeah. So again, my name is Grant Wise. I'm the president and founder of Witly, which is an automated advertising platform that runs ads for real estate agents so that they can generate more clients in their business. My background, go back to 2013, 2014, we developed a training company where we would teach real estate agents how to use Facebook ads to generate leads, grow their business. And then in 2000, I think it was 17, 18, we started building, taking all of our training and a lot of the marketing agency work we were doing and building out a software platform that would just run ads for people. And then we launched that in 2020. And, it's been a pretty special thing to witness the last 12 months, everything that's taken place. But, our focus and emphasis is really very simply in helping people run ads so that they can generate clients and doing so in an unbelievably efficient and inexpensive way. And that creates predictability, stability, consistency for, individual agents. Obviously our focus is geared more towards teams, but we work with a ton of individual agents, work a lot with teams, and work with a lot of brokerage level relationships to help generate more revenue. So I'm the guy people call to help get more customers. That's pretty simply.
Well, I love some of the terms you use there: predictability, sustainability.
Yeah.
These are terms that business owners would use, not someone who's self-employed. A lot of real estate agents, I think, struggle with it. Like, they think they own a business, but if they can't predict things, if they don't know certain metrics, they're self-employed. They don't have a business. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of what, you don't know what you don't know, right? So if you look at the individual agent, depending upon how long they've been in business, most come from like a jobs background. So they're used to being a part of somebody else's system, not being the person that creates the systems themselves. And it takes a huge mindset shift. And sometimes it takes the agents a very long time to get all of that stuff to click. And some don't even have the desire to do some of that stuff. Some people just want to sell a house a month, but we tend to work with people that are very intent on being more productive and just trying to figure out how. But I would agree, what do they call it? It's the real estate roller coaster, right? The one deal this month, none the next, two deals this month, none the next, none the next. And so our goal is, helping people eradicate that. And we do that through creating extremely effective systems and processes. I always say systems don't fail, people do. So build systems to replace people that makes sure that you always have customers. It's really very important. A lot of people, I think and I don't want people to think we're picking on them. It's the number one problem that plagues small business is not knowing how to get customers. And then the number two problem is trying to understand how to operationalize it so that it happens consistently.
So where does Witly come into this equation? Or, what is it that you guys do to help agents make this transformation into an actual business?
So I think that's a really great question. There are three core problems that I see every single agent that I've ever worked with faces, whether they have them when they come to us or they don't. They've faced these problems, and obviously, Dan, you have a ton of experience, so you could probably speak to this. First problem, opportunity. I don't have any leads. I don't know where my next deal is coming from. I don't know, like, how I'm going to get, business, right? So we help them solve the lead problem by setting up some Facebook ads to bring in leads. Second problem, I got a lot of leads, but I'm not converting as much as I should. I don't know what's going on. I'm calling the leads, I'm texting the leads, but I'm not getting the response that I think that I should. And we've developed a solution with video remarketing that increases an agent's conversion by 200 to 300% without having to call or text or email or do any of those other things that agents don't really want to do. They should be doing, but maybe don't want to do. And then lastly, convert. So if you can generate leads, if you can build a brand, build a relationship with your audience, and you can convert, you'll never have to worry about money in this business. But those are those are sequentially the problems that most people I see in this industry face pretty much in rhythm. Got to get leads, got to build a brand, i.e. a relationship, and then you got to convert. And then that's what we help people do. We help you do all three. So our software is a tool that you can utilize that will run ads for you on social media so that you get leads, so that you're implementing video remarketing strategies to convert more leads. And then ultimately through, and I don't know when this podcast will air, but through Witly Lead Assist, which is our follow-up tool, we can generate leads for somebody. We can help them build a relationship with video content, and then we can help them convert through our lead follow-up.
Where do you think most agents struggle with in this process, right? That you described lead generation, video remarketing, and then following up. Where do most people go wrong?
There's a lot to unpack there. I would say initially most people struggle just because they don't have like a strategy. They don't know where to go to get leads. They don't know how to get leads. If you look at a brand new agent, just as an example, most new agents are taught how to stay out of jail. They're not taught how to get customers. And so what we don't realize, when you go get licensed, is that in order to be a really good real estate agent, you have to be an unbelievable marketer and you have to be really great at sales. And and I'm using those words probably too intently. You don't have to be an unbelievable marketer. You just have to be a marketer. First, you got to get attention. You got to get people paying attention to what it is that you're doing so that you can ultimately convert them to a customer. You got to be good at sales. You got to be good at relationship development. You got to have good sales skill sets. You guys know that. And then if you do those first two jobs right, then you're going to get to help somebody buy and sell a property. And so I think that a lot of people struggle in the beginning because they just don't know. They don't know what they don't know. They don't know that they need leads or they don't know where to go find that opportunity. And that's probably the biggest struggle. Now, if somebody's implementing Facebook ads as an example, and they're trying to get leads and it's not working, what we see is most people are not following, the golden rule, I believe, of lead generation. Give people what they want, not what they need. So there's some misconceptions. So if you look at a platform like Zillow, which nobody obviously has a lot of affinity for, but Zillow did a lot of things right. In that, they followed that very, very simple rule: give people what they want, not what they need. People want to look at property. It's that simple. Like, people want to know what's available on the market. They want to know how much.
I remember when it first came out. I was in the Navy, so it was a while ago, but I remember it was kind of during that first pop of the 2000s.
Yes.
And you'd use it to guess the value of homes, basically.
Right. Yeah. Well, people want to know two things. They want to know how much their home's worth, and they want to know what property is available on the market. Now, you don't have to look at Zillow to find this example. Go back to the early 1900s. When we were facilitating real estate transactions by meeting up at a local place and then driving or riding to wherever it was that we were going to go, or go back to any time in history, right? People want to know what's available and they want to know what they're buying is worth. Those are the two things. That's it. And that also makes it really simple. So what I see people do is making mistakes by not giving people access to the information that they really want. I read an amazing book, and you may have read it too. It's called Breakthrough Advertising. It was written by a man named Eugene Schwartz.
Eugene Schwartz.
Yep. It's about a $500 book on Amazon today. And in the book, Eugene synthesized that the only two things that we can leverage in marketing and advertising is desire and necessity. And so when you understand some of those just rules and principles of marketing and advertising, you realize that you're really not that important in the beginning of somebody's home search. And that's also a very good thing, because it gives you the opportunity to just go out there and freely generate leads at scale. And then you can start to develop a relationship with those people once you've got them in the database. And if you don't know why that's important, you look no further than your old school broker bringing you into the business and telling you to go into your phone and start calling everybody you know and telling them that you're in real estate, i.e. call everybody in your database and tell them that you sell houses now. That's what lead generation allows you to do. It allows you to build a really big database at scale. And then there's other strategies that you should implement to make the best of that. But those are some of the top mistakes I see. You know, if it's somebody that's new in the business, I think it's just, I don't know what I don't know yet. And then if it's somebody that's trying to actively generate leads through Facebook, huge problems I see is they don't really have a very good strategy. They're trying to give the consumer the wrong thing to look at. And it's always going to be ineffective, because again, nobody wakes up and says, I want a real estate agent. I need a real estate agent. Initially, it's, I want to look at property. I need to know the value of my home. Those are some very simple rules I think people don't understand.
What maybe this isn't true anymore, but from my perspective, anyone can generate a lead on Facebook.
100%.
But since most people aren't on Facebook like they are on Zillow in order to find a home, most of those leads are longer term. It's not an urgent need. And I've always thought agents are just bad at follow-up. So they generate leads on Facebook, but maybe only 5 to 10% of them are short term. The rest are like 3 months to a year or longer out. And they don't follow up with those people. So then they think they don't work because they're really only fishing in like 10% of the available pool.
Yeah. And I think
is that still the case?
Yeah, it's less than that too. It's 1 to 3%. Yeah. We see very statistically, very consistently that you should be able to convert 1 to 3% of the leads that you generate month 1. And that means that, to your point, if you don't have a good system and process in place, you're losing out on 97% of your opportunity. So I think it's a very, very good point to bring up. Now, let's put this in perspective. Let's say you go generate 100 leads, okay, and you close 1 deal. Well, 100 leads in Facebook, your average cost per lead on the high side is like $5, $6. So $5 a lead, that times 100, that's $500. For perspective, if you close 1 of those deals, the average commission check per NAR 2 or 3 years ago was $6,750. It's gone up a little bit. That means that you're generating a 500% return on, a 10x return on an investment in 30 days, or whenever the deal closes. So for perspective, it's, even though the conversion rate's really low, it's still wildly profitable. And so what are you doing? This is the huge mistake. What are you doing with the 97 and 99% of the database that isn't ready to go right now? And I think this is such a significant mistake that people make. And this is something that's really important for top teams, I think, to understand too, is that, you know, your agents that you're funneling contacts to, they're only focused on the 0 to 30s, the 0 to 60 days out buyers. Like, that's what they're paying attention to. They're not looking at 90 days plus, 6 months plus. They're not paying attention to any of that stuff. So you have to be really good at building systems and processes, email campaign, text campaigns, direct mail campaigns, those different types of things to stay in contact with people for a long sustained period of time. Because I think that the larger portion of the database that you'll generate through social, depending upon a number of different variables, is probably 12 to 18 months out. But I've seen it very consistently. People generate leads. Average conversion rate for Facebook is 1 to 3%. So if you're generating 100 leads a month, you should be closing 1 to 3 deals a month. And if you're not, it's typically a result of not having an effective relationship strategy, not having an effective sales process to make those things become a reality.
So on the follow-up and relationship, you guys obviously help people do the video remarketing, so that
yeah,
as an agent, they are staying in front of that client, and it's very inexpensive to do. And maybe there's some good solo agents out there that have figured out how to stay in front, how to follow up. But once you start doing 3, 4, 5 deals a month and start hiring people, and you have to figure out how to scale that process of building your relationship and follow up, because you won't be able to do it. Agents on your team won't be able to do it because they're going to be focused on the 30-day deals, right? So how do you scale these parts of the process?
So what we started hearing 5 or 6 years ago is, Grant, I'm getting a lot of leads. Nobody's answering the phone. Nobody's responding to my texts. Nobody's opening my emails. What do I do? Because, Grant, I can close deals. And this was the key line: if I can get in front of people. And so we had to start kind of like ruminating on the idea that like, okay, we got to figure out how to get our clients in front of these people. And we had utilized remarketing a lot. It's how we grew our company. We had generated that in our time at the period that we were doing it, we generated almost 18,000 appointments to sell customers on products and services. So we knew that remarketing was wildly profitable thing to do because it worked. It put us in front of our audience every single day at scale for pennies. And so we started implementing that in our clients' business, and the results were fascinating. Everybody that we started using video remarketing with started converting 200 to 300% more leads than they were beforehand. And so the idea is that you create a couple videos in sequence, one, maybe it's an introductory video, maybe it's an educational video, maybe it's testimonial. And as leads come into your database, you start to follow them everywhere they go on the internet. Remarketing is simply marketing to somebody over and over and over again until they buy from you, right? Well, in social, with some social context, you create some video content, right? So intro video, educational video, testimonial video, and you start remarketing to somebody over and over and over again. So similarly for social context, you go to Amazon to buy a product or service and you decide not to. Well, the moment you go back to Facebook and Instagram, that product's in your feed, right? So that's remarketing. And so what we started helping our clients do is create video content. So the moment a lead came into their business, now there's video content about that agent being shown to the lead every time they log into Facebook. And that very easily allowed us to get our audience back in front of, which was the chief complaint, their leads instantaneously, like the moment they opted in. And now we do it from any source, Zillow or BombBomb or Bold Leads or Facebook or Instagram. No matter where your leads are coming from, you can start leveraging remarketing strategies to put yourself in front of your prospective customers. And that allows you to build a relationship. And so there's a lot of psychology that's packaged up in this, right? There's a lot of reasons that video works so well, but to put it like very, very simply, the brain can't tell the difference. And what I mean by that is, obviously, Dan, you and I were sitting here having a conversation remotely. We're having a virtual interaction. We consciously understand that, but the brain doesn't process that subconsciously. Subconsciously, the mind thinks, and we're just sitting here, it doesn't know the difference between us having a virtual conversation or us if we were literally in a coffee shop, working face to face, or if we were sitting in your beautiful new office there. So when you create video content, selfie style, the way that we typically recommend it, you're instantaneously putting yourself in front of your audience, and you're doing so in a way where the brain believes it's actually having a human face-to-face interaction.
That seems really simple, right? Like you said, selfie style. So
yeah, it is.
Anyone can do that. You don't have to go buy a $2,000 camera.
No, and as a matter of fact, I don't encourage you to. Yeah, I don't encourage you to go do that stuff, because there's a lot of data today that suggests that your cell phone content is going to outperform your branded, professionally produced stuff because of the differences in the camera. You're seeing it today with major brands that are spending millions of dollars on ad space on TV still yet. And what are they doing? They're taking the selfie content that somebody put on some viral video, and they're throwing it out there on the TV so that people will consume it. So it's fascinating, but we don't encourage anybody. I haven't advised anybody in literally the last 2 to 3 years go buy a camera, not one person. because you got it right here on your phone. Create the piece of content right there on your phone. And what that means is that everybody listening to this podcast could create a 90-second video about who they are and why they got into the business. Just share their origin story in 90 seconds. And that right there, that one piece of content could be a piece of remarketing. That one video could be a piece of remarketing content that you utilize to convert more leads. Anybody could do it. And anybody can do it with the resources likely that they have access to right now. If you're like, well, Grant, I don't have a phone, walk in the other room with your mom, your dad, your siblings, your friends, your realtor associate that has a phone and say, hey, I need to borrow this for 90 seconds. Don't use that excuse. Everybody's got one, right? So it makes the barrier to entry, the bar is low when it comes to it. Now it's not going to always be like that, Dan. And I think that you probably know that too. Like, we're going to reach a time period where your ability to produce content will be your barrier to entry to the business. But today it's just not that.
Fascinating. I got to mention too, at the HyperFast Summit, you're one of the speakers. You're going to be coming down here from Arkansas to Boca Raton, Florida for a couple of days in February, the 1st and the 2nd, actually, and diving into this system you've built, these processes, and really teaching agents how to scale lead generation, follow up, and not just for themselves, but for their team members, so that they can have a business. So if you're listening to this show, watching it, there might be tickets left. I don't know. We're pretty close to selling out, but you can go to hfasummit.com and use the code podcast25. So if you're listening to this podcast, you get 25% off. Go to hfasummit.com, use the code podcast25 to take 25% off. And Grant will be diving in deeper to this process at that event. I did want to follow up with another question outside of the remarketing, which, making these videos, staying in front of people. What other ways do you think, or perhaps you even help agents scale, follow up, scale, building their relationship with potential clients?
Building great sales processes is so crucial to your success. We help agents in a lot of ways. We help build automations, call automations, text automations, email automations inside of their CRM platforms, help advise them on what to do there, or they can just utilize our tech and it's pre-built for them.
So they can use your programs, or they can
use their own. We prefer they use their own.
Theirs.
Yeah. We prefer they use their own CRM, but we have all of those automations pre-built for every account holder. So the moment you log in, boom, it's already done. You don't have to do anything. But we do prefer they use their communication with their CRM.
And I do think if you're layering all these things, right? Like if you have the video staying in front of them, that's great. They feel like they see you everywhere. But then if they get emails, texts, if you get prompted to call them at certain intervals, if you layer all of that on, you're going to be able to scale not only lead generation, but actually conversion, right?
And that's
your team members.
That's so important. Yeah. Because we've been doing this for a long time, and for us, it's become more of a science than anything. But we know, as an example, that your automations need to be generating at minimum a 24% response rate. So if you're generating 100 leads, that means you want 24 of those people to be talking to you. We know that your appointment rate should be between 8 and 13%, meaning out of 100 leads, 8 to 13 of those people should book time to meet with you. We know you're going to experience likely a 50% no-show rate, which means you're only going to end up taking 6 or 7 of those appointments. And then ultimately you should be able to close 20 to 50% of those people that you actually meet with. And that's how, that's entirely like what our systems and processes are designed to do, whether we're helping somebody optimize it in their own CRM, whether we're optimizing in our own software, or whether somebody's using our lead assist products where we just do all this stuff for you at a cost per lead rate. We think it's crucial to your success to have long-term communication plans in place, because not every lead that you generate in this industry is ready to go today. It's just not happening. It's not possible. It's not a reality. It's not something you should even try for. I'm a huge fan, bigger fan of building a monstrous pipeline. And then, really living in that database and understanding who's ready to go and organizing your CRMs based on timelines and setting up certain triggers and alerts so that you're doing a lot of the follow-up work the right way. But, the average agent, I don't blame the agents. The average agent's got 17 job roles, statistically speaking. And so it makes prioritizing follow-up really very difficult. And you throw in the fact that nobody wants to do it. It gets even worse. So, do it for as long as you have to, and then create leverage for yourself through systems and processes so you don't have to do it so much anymore. Obviously most agents' goals, I think, are to get to a place where you're just developing relationships and you're managing your relationships, and everything else in the business is kind of handled. We do as much as we can on the lead gen, on the branding with video remarketing, and on the sales conversion side as we can, that an agent can afford to pay for, so that they don't have to do it. And the way that we've built our business, Dan, is through technology. So you think of Witly, it's like a traditional marketing agency, but a software is doing most of the work. And what that means is that we were able to take all of the overhead that somebody would have in hiring a traditional marketing agency and pass all of those savings back to the user. You'd have to pay somebody literally $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month to do everything that we do. And we can work for somebody at 10 to 20% of that cost because we don't have all the overhead a traditional marketing agency does. So I think it's, obviously it's an incredible tool that people are utilizing, most importantly to sell houses, which is what they want to do more of. And those are certainly the key things I think you've got to have in place at each stage if you really want to be successful.
Well, if you want to scale and grow, I think you need to implement something like this, or else I think one of two things is going to happen. You're gonna have to stop growing, or you're just gonna work yourself crazy, get burnt out, stressed out, all of that terrible stuff.
That's how it goes every single time. We work with clients, they solve their lead problem. Now they got an enormous amount of deals, but you end up working 68 hours a week and you're ready to quit. And so it's like, where it's not enough on one side and it's too much on the other. You have to, if you want to be somebody in this business that is very successful and scales, and you've got to create leverage for yourself. And we live in an age today where technology can do a lot of it. It can't do all of it, but it can do a lot of it. And certainly something that you should leverage to grow your business.
All right. Well, before we wrap up, I always like to end with our HyperFast round. If you're ready for some rapid fire questions and answers.
Let's do it.
All right. What's your biggest piece of advice to a new agent?
Sales are the most important thing to your business. Forget everything. You don't need business cards or websites or logos or any of that. You need sales. So go find money.
What's the biggest mistake you see successful agents doing?
I think that successful agents are very disillusioned to creating efficiencies in their business. And so sometimes success can make you ignorant, right? Because you're doing something and it's working. So you think that like you're the best and like it's just, this is how it's always going to be, right? And so I think that success sometimes can make you very delusional. So my biggest advice to agents that are already successful is to just consistently create as much leverage as you can and put money in the bank and test new things, but always, have that base, have that base of things that are producing for you. That should open up doors so you can go add new lead sources. You can go add new agents to your team. You can go hire more manpower, more woman power to help grow the business. There's a lot of people in this industry, I think, that are very successful, but they're maybe doing all of it themselves and aren't really leveraging the systems and processes that could take it to another level for themselves. I think that's a tough question to answer, but I think I've experienced it myself. Success can make you very delusional. And so, just stay around good coaches and mentors, constantly have people around you that can help watch your blind side, use systems or processes, and take it to whatever height you want to take it to.
What's something you recommend agents do right now that maybe wasn't on your radar a year or two ago?
I would say it's been on my radar, but I don't think it's on the radar of most people. I was at a mastermind. Everybody in the room sells literally hundreds of homes a year. And even the speakers on the stage selling almost 1,000 homes plus a year. And what I found was so unique is that very few of them were using video remarketing. And when you're talking about teams that are selling hundreds of homes, if you increase your conversion rate 50%, 100%, 150, 200%, you're talking about tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars that could be brought into the business because of a very serious inefficiency that exists in teams, which is being reliant on the agents to do follow-up, or not having the right systems and processes, not having the right timeline, organization, segmentation in place. So I think that the number one thing that has been on my radar for a while, but maybe not on the radar of some of the top elite teams in the world, is using video remarketing to increase your conversion rate without having to ask your agents to make more calls and text more people and do, whatever it is that they're really not doing. I think that's the number one most powerful thing I've seen affect a business that is already very successful that I've been working with.
All right,
and I would add to that, Dan, I'm sorry to cut you off. We're working with some of the top teams in the country, teams that are the number one in their markets, teams that are the number one with companies they work with globally. This is certainly one of the most specific things I've seen that's had the biggest impact.
All right, last question. What are you most excited about in the next year to 5 years?
Man, we talked a little bit pre-show about some of the stuff that we're working on. That's probably the thing I'm the most excited about. This doesn't make a whole lot of sense to talk a whole lot about it now, but Witly.io, building
the metaverse.
building a metaverse marketplace for people to buy and sell real estate, virtual land in the metaverse. That's really exciting. It's very, I've been able to geek out on some of that stuff, obviously, recently. I'm pretty excited about that, but I think probably more so than that, it's just I care about two things, man. I care about people's experience. I care about them getting results, and we're just continually helping people have great experiences, whether it's training they take or content they consume, or actually working with us. And we've been able to help people sell more real estate, which is ultimately, at the end of the day, I think what all of us probably care about. And I'm excited to see what type of impact that's going to have over the course of the next 1 to 5 years. The people that we get to work with in the real estate industry, I just think are so inherently good. And when we can help them make more money, I know they're going to turn right back around in their communities and do good with it. And I think that's probably something that excites me more than anything.
All right. Well, thanks for being on the show today, Grant. If people want to connect with you or learn more about what you do, what are the best ways for them to do that?
Just go over to witly.net, witly.net. You can get all your questions answered there for sure.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for listening and tuning in. Please leave us some comments and feedback. Share this with people that you think need to hear it. And if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the HyperFast Show. Subscribe to us if you want to make sure you get the latest and greatest HyperFast shows. And remember, we love reviews. Reviews help us bring better and better guests and improve our shows. So give us the good, the bad, and the ugly. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we will see you next time.
Hey guys, thanks for sticking around to the end. I hope you enjoyed that video, and if you want to see more, click right here. And if you want 100 real estate tips from my best-selling book, click right here to download them instantly. And if you're new to this channel, click below to subscribe and turn on post notifications so you don't miss out. And leave some comments about what you think on the videos.